Join me as I make a based heart tribute as a florist who runs a small business from home. I have already ribboned this frame and also gave it a good soaking with water, so I'm ready to start. I begin by cutting the double chrysanths from the main stems and adding them into piles either side. I then will start basing the item using the chrysanths at a slight angle to hide the German pins where I've pinned the ribbon to the frame. I should really put these heads into piles of sizes, but I just like to go through and sift through and decide what I want to use at the time. I work my way around the frame, making sure each flower is touching the previous one as I put it in, and again I make sure it's at that angle to hide those mechanics. Once I've done the edge, I will then start on the second row, where I will put this at more of an angle to give the frame a nice shape when it's finished at the end. Again, I'm working through sifting out the sizes I need and making sure each flower is touching the previous one I've added. I will then use smaller ones around the oasis bump. You can see which is sticking out slightly to one side. That will be raised above the finished base work, where I will add a spray to finish the item off completely. I will also have a good check to make sure there's no gaps in the item, and then fill those in. Sometimes you might just slightly miss one or two without realising. So the final part is filling in the main shape, and again I'm going round. These are more flatter, and just making sure the flowers are pushed in and there's no holes. So I just give it a double check here to make sure, and again you can see that oasis bump is just slightly above the rest of the flowers there. Once I'm happy with that, I will move on to making the spray. So here I am just adding some soft ruscus, which will give my spray a really lovely shape. I will then go round, making sure it's all filled in with a bit of greenery too, to hide that oasis as best as I can. This heart is purple ribbon, and then the spray is to be done in pink and purple with a wooden heart to finish the tribute. I add a little bit of ivy just to connect those two sprays together, and I pin that on with a green wire shaped in like a horseshoe shape to make sure it stays where it should be. Then I start adding in the purple veronica, which is a really delicate soft flower, and it goes really lovely against these heaven roses I've picked for this tribute. So to the side I've added a little rose and a piece of veronica, which will then tie the two together. The veronica has quite a few little sprigged side bits, which helps because I can fill that in the spray and just help soften it slightly as well, so it doesn't look too harsh on the eye. Once I'm happy with the rose's position and the veronica, I then add a little bit of dried limonium, which I've dried myself at home. This is ideal for filling in gaps, and just finish it off. I also add some more ivy just to tie in with the piece that goes across to the other small spray. And this is the finished look with the spray all completed.